Yeah. The new norm. Okay. Hello, chat. Every time. Okay. I think we're going. Hello, good morning, and welcome to yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo. Here we go. The switch. And it worked. Back to the game. See, it's amazing. You gotta give props to Mojang, to the Sodium team, to the Iris team, to the Complementary Shaders team, to the Rethinking Voxels team. You gotta give thanks to all the pioneers that came before them, like Sonic Ether, and I don't even know the rest. But like this is like information layered on top of information. So it is very good. Like, what happens when you just compound knowledge on top of itself? It just grows amazingly. So yeah, hey. So here I am in my Minecraft world, right? I'm here gathering levels half naked because I went into the Piglin Bastion and got murdered by piglins. So yeah, and I lost all my stuff. They took it. They stole my stuff. And I wasn't strong enough to take it back. So here I am. But I went to the Piglin Bastion and I died and lost all my stuff. But I managed to retrieve a netherite smithing template. And with one template, I can combine it with 7 diamonds and netherrack and make as many as I want, which is great because I need a lot. But the thing is that, you know, before I transform gear into netherite gear, it has to be like great gear, worthy of being transformed. So that brings me to this point where I am compounding experience levels upon experience levels to enchant my gear and make it great, so I can like protection 3 and breaking 3. Like, what is that? That's so bad. But anyways, so I'm gonna like make the great set of gear, and then I'm gonna go into the nether and get the rest of the stuff I need. All right, so that's the way we're look at, I'm falling faster than the raindrops. It's raining upward. Funny how relativity works in Minecraft. It doesn't. That's funny. Yeah, anyways, so, yeah, look at these graphics. I mean, maybe you can't see it so good because you're looking at it from a stream, and the stream necessarily compresses all this information, so you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Of course, there's my frames per second. I should probably not have all of it, but doesn't matter. Like, it looks really good. The details, the way the shadows flow, it's just nice. It's just nice. So anyways, let's change gears here. If you recall, Well, I first started doing this show like 7 years ago or whatever. I don't even know how long ago. To warn people that Donald Trump was working for Russia. And nobody believed me. Nobody believed me. It was like, it was pretty rough. Not gonna lie. Look at, they're not getting picked up. Why isn't your stuff getting picked up? Okay, I don't even have a, oh, there it is. There's the minecart. Oh, okay, so it is picking it up. Oh, it just barely makes it. Oh man, I should probably get like some more tracks in there because it barely makes it. Look at that. It's like, it just barely makes it each time. That's awful. All right, well, it's working though at least. That's so funny. So yeah, Donald Trump is working with Russia, and I've been saying it for years, and I was ridiculed for a really long time. But I think after, and it was really apparent to me after the 2018 Helsinki meeting, where Donald Trump agreed with Vladimir Putin over the United States. So for me, I thought that was the end. That should have been the end. That was as clear as day as what you need in order to like get rid of Donald Trump. But surprisingly, a lot of Americans were on board with Russia. And what surprises me is that the people on board with Russia were traditionally the ones most anti-Russia. Like, from the 80s, I remember Republicans and Reagan as being like really anti-communist, anti-Russia, anti-USSR. That's what I remember. And now to see it flip, to see the Republicans be pro-Russia, pro-USSR, it's disconcerting for me. It's really weird to watch. Like, remember when I talked about how Russia uses psychological warfare against Americans, and that like in the 80s it was pretty shitty because the media was only like was mainly controlled by gatekeepers. You had to have a lot of money if you wanted to get your message out there. Either you have to pay for a television studio to do it, or pay for a printer, a publisher, to print your stuff, and then you have to find a distributor to distribute the stuff so that people pick it up. I mean, are you giving it out for free or what? So it was really, really hard to disseminate ideas and information unless you have the cooperation of the mainstream, well, the ruling class. Unless you had capital, you weren't going to get your message out there. And so, you know, that sounds like, oh, terrible, 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 right? But remember that it works both ways. Because Russia really wanted to get its message out there to demoralize Americans, because that's what they're about, right? They couldn't face the Americans militarily, so they went after the American spirit instead, which is immaterial, right? so your guns have no use here. Okay. So, but they couldn't do it very well, right? Because it takes a lot of capital to like spread messages in the American society. It takes a lot of money. You need a lot of money to do it. And Russia was not gonna, spend millions upon millions of dollars to get past the traditional gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers wouldn't let them in. Even if they had millions upon millions of dollars, if a Russian guy comes up to a TV producer and says, "Hey, I'll give you millions of dollars to publish my anti-American piece," the publisher's gonna be like, "No, no." Oh well, now you can't do it. You can try independently, but that's not getting you anywhere. That all changed with the advent of the internet. When the internet came about, traditional gatekeepers were rendered powerless. They lost all their power. Anybody could go viral with any stupid thing. Anyone can do it. So, while that sounds like awesome for democracy, it's also awesome for Russia, because they can get access to American minds so much more easily than they could before in the 80s. Like, they had no chance in the 80s. They had no chance. They tried, but they had no chance. Because it was just too difficult to spread information, false information, any kind of information. And the internet made it like free. You can spread information free and get past the traditional gatekeepers. Oh, those guys almost got struck by lightning. So yeah, so like now Americans are all like, well, I wouldn't say all Americans. Clearly, there's there's a lot of Americans who are not on board with Russia. There's a lot. The only ones who are really on board with Russia are the diehard Republicans, are the Republicans. Like my family, right? If I asked my family straight up, "Hey, are you pro-Russia?" they'd be like, "What?" No. But yet they all voted Republican because they don't pay attention. They have no idea. They didn't watch the meeting between Zelensky and Trump. They're going to listen to their preferred news sources and have them tell them why it's important, why they should care. So if they listen to Fox News, what they're going to hear is that Zelensky was disrespectful or some bullshit like that, the Russian line, right? And if they listen to anyone else, they're going to be like, Donald Trump ambushed an ally. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But yeah, things have changed a lot. Europe cannot count on the United States anymore. The people may not be with Russia, but the government is with Russia now. The American government. So whenever you hear those stories about how Republicans are passing anti-trans laws, it's because they can't actually govern. So what they're doing is they're going after scapegoats, and that way it hides the fact that they're supporting Russia. I mean, I did a whole analysis of it last night. I watched the whole video and pointed out all the subtext. Not all the subtext, but like a lot of the subtext. Because Donald Trump didn't have Zelensky over to discuss a ceasefire or an end of the war. Well, he did have Zelensky over for the end of the war, but the thing is that you have to understand what that means for each party. For Ukraine, it means security guarantees so that Russia never invades ever again. That's what Zelensky, when Zelensky heard end of the war, That's what Zelensky heard, was security guarantees. But when Trump says end of the war, what he means is Ukraine surrenders to Russia. That was always the plan with Donald Trump. It was always the plan for Donald Trump to surrender Ukraine to Russia. Always. During his first term, that was the first time he extorted Zelensky. He's like, you have to announce an investigation into Joe Biden, or I'm not going to give you these javelins that Congress already gave to you. I'm going to steal them. And then Donald Trump got impeached for that. Because the idea was that Donald Trump was going to hand over Ukraine to Russia. When Donald Trump says, oh, this would have never happened had I been president, because the plan was, he tried to be president. He tried to overthrow the government. He lost the election and then tried to overthrow the government so that he would be in power to hand over Ukraine to Russia. But he failed. He failed. And so Putin had no choice. Well, he had a choice. He could have not invaded. But his oligarchs would have probably killed him. Somebody would have killed Putin if he didn't show how strong he was and how strong Russia was. So he had to invade Ukraine. But he thought Ukraine would just fold like it did in 2014. He didn't expect Ukraine to resist so strongly. And so their decapitation attack failed. And it turned into, from a quick decapitation and install a puppet regime, it turned into a quagmire war. And he wants to get out of it. Putin wants to get out of it. But he can't, because if he gives up, he can, right? All he has to do is go home. That's all he has to do if he wants the war to end. But Putin doesn't want to just go home. He wants to take Ukrainian land. He wants to eventually reconstitute the USSR. So he would never ever give up land. He would never go back to the old borders, the pre-agreed upon borders. He will never do it. So yeah, Russia was on the ropes, and then the Americans, the stupid Americans, they're either Nazis or stupid, or they're apathetic and they didn't vote. They saved Russia from defeat because they brought back Russia's lackey, Donald Trump. So I don't know. I mean, like, I've been saying for years that Donald Trump is on Team Russia. Like, how much more do you need to see before you like understand? I know a lot of people do now, and that's good. That's good, right? Because we're not going to get out of this unless we get people on board here. I got a bunch of stuff, but I don't even want to show it. This is a picture of the money that Elon Musk receives from the government. Elon Musk, his companies get like billions upon billions of dollars from the government. Every year he gets $6 billion, over $6 billion. So if you want to cut waste, let's start with cutting Elon Musk out of the government. It's ridiculous how much money he gets from the government. You know, right? He like fired a whole bunch of air safety people. He fired a bunch of air safety people. After he fired a bunch of air safety people, we've been having all these air accidents. And then he says, oh, look, the company that's supposed to revamp the air traffic, that's Verizon, we're going to cancel that. And instead, I'm going to award the contract to myself. So Elon Musk fired all the air safety people and then canceled the contract that the government had with Verizon, and it awarded it to his own company, Starlink. That's called fucking fascism. Elon Musk is a Nazi, though. I mean, we all know this, right? Have you not seen Elon Musk do the Sig Heil? Check him out, dude.
Thank you.
That's Elon Musk doing the Sig Heil twice. Do you see? He's a fucking Nazi. So a Nazi came in. He's not even a government employee, but the world's richest man and a Nazi comes in, fucking guts the American government, and then makes new contract with his own company to replace what the American government was doing. A lot of Americans are stupid. It's hard. I mean, I hate to say it. Maybe not stupid. How about ignorant? That's probably a better way of putting it. They're not stupid. They're really, really ignorant. Really ignorant. Yeah, let's get rid of Elon Musk. Fuck Musk. That Nazi. I don't even want to look at this shit, dude. I don't even want to do it. Thunder from nowhere. Yeah, remember when Australia had a contract with France to make submarines? and then France and then Australia broke the contract with France to make a new contract with America for American subs. I bet Australia feels pretty stupid right now. Because it's like they're making a deal with Russia. It's like, oh shit, we just made a deal with Russia. Oh no. And you know what? It's because America never got over its white supremacy. Like, we never took care of the Confederates in the United States. Like, Lincoln pardoned all of the Confederates, and that's why all the Confederate leaders, so they didn't get killed. They weren't executed for being traitors. And I really believe that all of our problems today, in terms of white supremacy, all of our problems stem from the fact that Abraham Lincoln did not execute all of the Confederate general or all the Confederate leaders. Because even to this day now, we cannot hold people accountable. We can't hold white supremacists accountable. And that's why we're in the mess now. And since the United States cannot hold white supremacists accountable, it is now under control of Russia. Russia now controls us. Russia owns our government. Because Americans couldn't deal with their white supremacy. I mean, look how easily manipulated Americans are by these inconsequential to them issues like trans and gay rights and women's rights. Like, these have zero impact on their own personal lives, yet they're manipulated. I wouldn't say manipulated, but because of their hatred, the hatred inside them, they can be easily manipulated. I mean, look, the same people that hate trans people are pro-Russia. That should, you know... Right? Like, remember when I told you that America faces a diverging path to, like, we were in a probability field, and when we observe it, that field's gonna collapse into one or the other. And one timeline was great and the other timeline was bad, and we chose the bad timeline. And I'm looking at the other timeline like sail away into like another experience, and I'm like, man, now I'm stuck here with a Russian puppet in control of the American government. Man. Watch.
Government is doing right now as far as cutting out those jobs.
Nope.
A huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
Yes.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great. I'm not gonna. We don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
He runs away. He runs away. He ran away.
Is doing right now.
That's a Republican. That was a Republican candidate, politician, a House member. He went back to his district, right, to have a town hall, and so these are all Republican voters, and they're all talking about, like, listen, Elon Musk fucking fired a bunch of people who worked at the VA, the Veterans Affairs, which is the bureau that takes care of veterans and gives them their health care. He just fired a bunch of people for no reason. For no reason. He's not going to save any money. His goal is to make government work poorly, so he can then award the contracts to so that what the government used to do, he's gonna award a private contract to his own companies. I mean, he's a leech. Elon Musk is a leech. He doesn't actually help anything. He just takes away stuff and then awards the money to himself. What else do I got here? Oh yeah. So this chart is a chart foreign aid given per capita. So we're talking about how much money a country gives to other countries per capita. Not in terms of absolute, but in terms of like number of people. So if they only have 100 people, they can't give as much. But if those 100 people give like 50% of their wealth, it's a lot more than like per capita than other countries. Anyways, so turns out U.S. hardly gives out any money compared to other countries in terms of per capita benefits. So when Donald Trump tries to say that Europe doesn't help Ukraine, he is lying. I mean, but of course he's lying, right? Donald Trump is a Russian asset. He works for Russia. So, breaking. A person hospitalized with measles in West Texas has died. The first in an outbreak that has infected more than 120 people. So Walter M. Crimbro says, there are more cases of measles than there are NCAA trans athletes. You'd never know it listening to lawmakers. Right? Right? The way Republican politicians talk, it's as if trans athletes are like the majority of people and they're like taking over the sport, which is a bunch of bullshit. Measles is an entirely preventable disease. It's entirely preventable. Watch out, dude. Don't fall. Yeah. It can be prevented through vaccines. You don't have to get measles at all. And yet, we have more people with measles and dying from it than we do trans athletes. But we don't see a big government response to get people vaccinated to stop people from dying. No one's ever died because a trans person was just being themselves. No one's ever died from that. No one's ever died from a trans person using a bathroom. No, unless it was the trans person who got attacked. But measles have killed 1 person and sickened 120 of them, which is more than the number of trans athletes. So why is the focus of Republicans on trans athletes instead of the disease actually killing, the preventable disease actually killing people? One reason might be because Republicans are like anti-science. The Donald Trump made the Secretary of Health or something, Robert F. Kennedy, who is he's anti-vax. He's against vaccinations. So the measles outbreak in Texas is exactly what he would want to happen. Why would you pick this guy to be the leader of your health department when the guy's like pro-death? Why would you do that? Well, if you're working for Russia, you just want bad things for the United States, and Donald Trump is working for Russia. So here's the post that Donald Trump made on February 19th. He made it on February 19th. He said a dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. So Donald Trump, a week and a half before Zelensky came to the meeting in the White House, he called Zelensky a dictator. Donald Trump has never, ever, ever said that Vladimir Putin is a dictator. He has never, ever, ever said anything bad about Vladimir Putin, and he never says anything bad about Russia. Never, 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 never. You can ask him, he will never do it. A reporter did ask him. He's like, hey, dude, hey, Donald Trump, hey, you called Zelensky a dictator. Would you call Vladimir Putin a dictator? And Donald Trump wouldn't do it. He's terrified. Donald Trump is terrified of Putin. Absolutely terrified of Putin. It's so funny. I mean, you all saw the picture of it, right? Here, where is it? Let me find it real quick. It's too good, dude. It's too funny. Look at him. Look at Donald Trump. He's fucking terrified of Putin. It's outrageous how bad and terrified he is. I took my bed. All right. Let the sun shine in. Let the sun shine in. What else we got here? Bird flu causes CPB egg scramble at the U.S.-Mexico border. Many families have been having a tough time finding affordable eggs at the grocery store. Now, federal officials say they're intercepting a growing number of eggs at the border. So now, they're smuggling in eggs from Mexico into the United States because Donald Trump has made the price of eggs skyrocket. He fired the people working on a vaccine for the bird flu. Right? I mean, like, oh my God. Cutting Medicaid to pay for a tax cut benefits top 1% while harming the bottom 40%. So, right now, the Republicans want to give Elon Musk a tax break. They think Elon Musk pays too much in taxes. They're like, man, the world's richest man, he pays a lot in taxes. Like, he's worth like what, $300 billion? So that poor guy, that poor Elon Musk, we've got to find some way to give him some money. So Republicans are like, well, how can we give Elon Musk some money? They're like, well, we can't just give it to him. We have to take it from somewhere else in the budget. And they're looking over here and they're like, oh, look, this big thing called Medicare and Medicaid. It gives health care to like millions of people, 40, 80 million people, millions and millions and millions of people. This chunk of money is giving health care to them so they don't die and they don't suffer. Republicans, the lawmakers, are like, let's take the money from here, from these millions of people, take their health care away, and then we can give it to Elon Musk. And that won't be enough. That, you know, we're gonna have a big hole in our budget, because normally the money that we still have a big hole in our budget. We're not taking in enough money because we're not taking tax from Elon Musk anymore. So we have to borrow money from other people so we can give it to Elon Musk. That's the Republican tax plan. They want to borrow money and take it from the poor people so they can give it to the world's richest man. Like, I don't know if Americans are stupid or just really ignorant. Elon Musk's economic footprint since the start of the new Trump administration, since January 20th, 2025. Tesla's stock price has fallen 20%. Awesome. And the sum of all the savings listed on the Doge wall of receipts was $7 billion. Hardly anything. And even his wall of receipts was taken down because it was full of errors. Like, he's not saving any money. He's saving zero money. All he's doing is he's wrecking things and then calling it a win. "16 people caught smuggling eggs into Texas." Thanks, Donald Trump. Trump human trafficking. So the Trump administration is committed to combating human trafficking and protecting the innocent on October 20th, 2020. Right? And then Trump proposes death penalty for human trafficking. That's on July 21st, 2023. Then, accused sex trafficker Andrew Tate, brother, to fly to U.S. after Trump admin reportedly lobbies Romania for his release. So he's helping. Now he's helping human traffickers. First he's like, oh, we should kill human traffickers. Then he's like, no, actually we should help human traffickers. And then he says Trump distances himself from Andrew Tate extradition to U.S. I know nothing. So he does that a lot. Like, Donald Trump pretended not to know that he called Zelensky a dictator. So, like, it'll trick the stupid people, but it doesn't trick anyone paying attention. It's obvious. Don't be a sucker. So House Republicans' plan would take away health care and food assistance from people to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy. So they want to cut $880 billion from Medicaid and $230 to SNAP. What's SNAP? SNAP are food stamps that help poor people buy food. Because if you don't help poor people buy food, what do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to die, number one, and suffer. Kids are going to starve. Number two, some people are just going to steal it. And what are you going to do to people who are stealing food so they don't starve to death? That now we're getting into questions of justice. Like, why are there people starving to death in the world's richest country? Delicious experience points. All right. Oh, William T. Sherman wrote a letter to the Confederate States, begging them to stop. He said, William T. Sherman, the general who burned down Atlanta. You people of the South don't know what you're doing. This country will be drenched in blood, and God only knows how it will end. It is all folly, madness, a crime against civilization. You people speak so lightly of war, you don't know what you're talking about. War is a terrible thing. You mistake, too, the people of the North. They are a peaceable people, but an earnest people, and they will fight, too. They are not going to let this country be destroyed without a mighty effort to save it. Besides, where are your men and appliances of war to contend against them? The North can make a steam engine, locomotive, or railway car. Hardly a yard of cloth or pair of shoes can you make. You are rushing into war with one of the most powerful, ingeniously mechanical, and determined people on earth. Right at your doors. You are bound to fail. Only in your spirit and determination are you prepared for war. In all else, you are totally unprepared, with a bad cause to start with. At first, you will make headway, but as your limited resources begin to fail, shut out from the markets of Europe as you will be, your cause will begin to wane. Where is it? Your cause will begin to wane. If your people will but stop and think, they must see in the end that you will surely fail. So, yeah, it's pretty bad that by a sliver, by the slimmest margin in fucking years, that Donald Trump took power. By the slimmest margin in years that Donald Trump took power. It's a shame that he's destroying the whole country. But I don't think we're going to go down without a fight. We're not going down without a fight. I mean, it's the end of U.S. hegemony. But I don't think it's the end of the United States. This is Mexico's President Claudia argues that if cartels are terrorists, then those supplying their weapons, over 74% of which come from the United States, should be held accountable for aiding terrorism. In response, Mexico will expand its lawsuit against the U.S. gun manufacturers. She also proposed a constitutional reform to impose the harshest possible punishment on foreigners involved in arms trafficking or any form of interventionism in Mexico, reinforcing national sovereignty against external interference. So the Trump administration, the criminal regime in the United States, designated Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations. By giving cartels this designation, that gives the United States legal authority in its own country to invade Mexico with drones and conduct operations inside of territory that's not their own. Like, I don't know if that started with Obama or where it came from, but apparently if we're using drones, it's legal by a U.S. law to use drones in other people's countries if they're terrorists. So by doing this, Donald Trump wants to invade Mexico by declaring cartels to be terrorists. But if cartels are terrorists, then we can ask the question, who's funding the terrorists? And the answer is Americans. And then then you ask, who's giving the terrorists, these cartel terrorists, all their weapons? And the answer is Americans. So that makes, if cartels are terrorist organizations, then the United States is a sponsor of terror, a state sponsor of terror against Mexico. Stop saying, as a nation, we've never been so divided. This was 57 years ago, where we had segregation. So the whole point about DEI is to the Republican attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The whole attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion is to reinstitute segregation. The Republicans want to they're slavers, right? They're the reincarnation of the Confederacy. They're slavers. Republicans are slavers. And they want to reinstitute segregation. That's why when you look at the government purge in the United States, the majority of people who were fired, I'm not saying that you know, the majority of people that were fired were people of color, women, women and people of color, because they're resegregating the government. The Republicans want to reintroduce segregation. Yep. It wasn't that long ago. It's not like we've had centuries of triumph over the Nazis. We beat them a few years ago. In the big picture, less than 100 years ago. I mean, look how quickly things can change. We went from treating Russia as the biggest enemy to our government allying with Russia. We went from Reagan from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. So there was a court case, right? The Trump administration is trying to attack trans people. And here's a transcript. Judge Reyes. Executive Order 14183 adopts the definitions of a separate executive order called Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. And that EO states, sex shall refer to an individual's immutable biological classification as either male or female. And it states that it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. Do you see that, or do you remember that? And Jason Lynch, the U.S. attorney, says, I will take the court's word for it. Judge Reyes says, you understand, as a matter of biology, it's just incorrect to say that there are only two sexes, right? And Lynch says, do I understand that to be incorrect as a biological matter? Judge Reyes, yes, it is incorrect as a biological matter. You understand that, right? Lynch, I don't understand that to be incorrect. Judge Reyes, you understand that not everyone has an XX or an XY chromosome, right? Lynch, honestly, no, I don't. Judge Reyes, it's actually kind of really important, a really important point, because this executive order is premised on an assertion that is not biologically correct. There are anywhere near about 30 different intersex examples. So someone who does not have just an XX or an XY chromosome is not just male or female, they're intersex. And there are over 30 potential different intersex examples. We've got genetic differences. We have people with XXX chromosomes. We have androgen insensitivity, XY genetically, that may have female external sex characteristics and internally have testes. There's a 5-alpha reductase deficiency that causes changes in testosterone metabolism. XY that may have female external genitalia or ambiguous genitalia. The point being, and I'm happy to have you guys brief this more if you want, but I'm telling you right now that there are people who are neither male or female. And so the premise of the executive order is just incorrect. Right? Donald Trump tried to pass an executive order that changes the nature of reality. Essentially. And he is not God. He can't do that. He can only recognize two sexes, but that's like saying, I only recognize black and white. I can't see any other colors. Doesn't mean other colors don't exist. It just means you're colorblind. You can only see black and white. So let's talk about current status. We're smuggling. Sarah Tabor says current status. We're smuggling eggs in from Mexico now. So let's talk about why Mexico's egg industry has been stable while U.S. egg prices are through the roof. Number 1, Mexico puts people in jail for price fixing. Number 2, Mexico lets farmers vaccinate their children or their chickens against the flu. Ta-da! Anti-vax is what's wrecking the poultry industry right now. All right. Well, I don't want to do this, man. Like, I'm so tired of doing this. Like I can't believe I'm back here. No. But here we are, right? Here we are. There's no choice. There's no choice. There's zero choice. And there's nowhere to go. So we gotta fight. We gotta get this show on the road. All right, until next time, America. Peace. Pagokiro out. Stop. Stop. Stop.